So, the Game Awards nominees have been out for a few days, and since they've been out, a lot of people on the internet obviously have a lot to fucking say about it, because let's be honest, you know, we are gamers, and gamers have a lot to say about fucking anything, whether it's good or even when it's bad, or especially when it's bad, more or less. But even when something's good, you know, gamers will more or less complain. And obviously, you know, the game of the year this year is pretty stacked, I'd have to say. To me, it's a bit of a steamroll, and I think a lot of people know that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win the award, because let's be honest, Baldur's Gate 3 is like, you know, a lot of people are considering it one of the best games of the last like 20 years already, saying it's one of the greatest games of all time, like easily top 10 greatest games of all time. I've played Baldur's Gate 3. I enjoy it a lot. It's not necessarily like, you know, something that I would consider like one of my greatest games, but you have to give it to where it is. You know, it is an exceptionally made game, and it is well fucking deserved. But one thing that people are complaining about is obviously the other games that are nominated on the Game of the Year Awards. And the one thing that I have fucking heard about a lot is Starfield. And I can't fucking believe that a lot of people are picking Starfield over any of these games. And there is even more games than just the ones that are nominated that would deserve a spot in the Game of the Year nominee over Starfield. You know, the games that are already here, to me, are absolutely fine. You know, Alan Wake 2, I haven't played it because it's, you know, it's a relatively new game, but I've heard nothing but absolutely amazing things about that. I did play Alan Wake 1, and I enjoyed that game a lot. I think Alan Wake 1's actually an extremely underrated game. I don't think it got enough attention, and I'm actually glad to see that the sequel for it, which is, you know, a lot of people have been asking it for a long time, you know, and it's good to see that Alan Wake finally actually got a sequel that it fucking deserves, and I'm glad to hear that it is doing well. You know, obviously I already talked about Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, no fucking surprises there. The first game is fucking absolutely amazing. You know, a lot of people like the Miles Morales you know, little spin-off game as well. And then obviously Spider-Man 2, no fucking surprises there. Resident Evil 4, some people are just, you know, a bit iffy about this one being there because it is a remake, but it's a fucking amazing game. I personally think that it deserves to be there because of how good it is. Like, I know it's a remake, but personally, I think it does deserve the spot. You know, there is obviously other games that they could have put in there instead of Resident Evil 4, which I'll talk about, you know, in a second when I talk about other games that deserve to be on there that aren't named Starfield. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, like I said, I haven't played that one, but I have heard nothing but fucking good things. You know, Mario games have been good for a long fucking time, and it's good to see that they're actually, you know, experimenting a lot with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I did watch a video about it and how they've changed, you know, They really did innovate a lot with the game in terms of changing, you know, how Super Mario Bros., you know, their 2D scrollers have played out in the last, like, fucking 30, 40 years, for however long Super Mario's been out for, and they've completely revamped the way that they wanted to, like, you know, make their 2D scrolling games and their 2D platforming games, you know, and it's good to see that they've really changed up, you know, the way that they make it, and it's good to see that they're actually innovating and changing the design. You know, one of the big things that they got rid of was like the timer in Super Mario Bros. Games. Literally in 2D platform Mario games, the timer has been there since the fucking start, and this is actually the first 2D Mario game that didn't have it. You know, and to see all the different abilities that they've added to the game as well is really good. And I actually want to play it like extremely soon. It's one of the games that I'm looking to save up money for to buy. And then Tears of the Kingdom, fuck, that game is I've put so many fucking hours into the Tears of the Kingdom, and there's a lot of people out there that are just saying, oh, it's like Breath of the Wild, but with just, you know, a couple things added into it. No, trust me. If you've played Breath of the Wild, which I have as well, and you played Tears of the Kingdom, you will know that they are two completely different fucking games. Majority of the map, yes, is the same. Not even majority of it. Like, just the base level, so a lot of it is the same, yes, but then there's, like, the sky area as well, and then the depths, holy fucking shit. The depths are just as big as the normal map. Like, I actually didn't think when I started playing the game that the depths were going to be that big. Because when it came to, like, trailers and stuff before that, like of them showing off the game. They didn't really show the depths that much. They were more into like, oh, look at the Sky Islands, look how you can fly around and shit like that. The depths are just, to me, are more fascinating than the Sky Islands themselves. And the amount that they added, all the boss fights are completely different from Breath of the Wild as well, and they're so much fun to play. The amount of puzzles that are in that game, it's the amount of collectibles and shit, like, it's a fucking unbelievable. I think I've put over 100 hours into that game. Still haven't completed it. Still haven't completed the main story. And I put over 100 hours into that game because I am just currently doing every fucking side quest, trying to get every piece of armor before I even complete the fucking game. I want to go into Ganon and one-shot that motherfucker. Like, that's literally what I've been doing since the fucking game come out. I've taken a bit of a break from it because I hammered that game so fucking much. But I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to one-shot fucking Ganon. Now, like I said, when it comes to a lot of people saying that Starfield deserved it, no fucking way. At any of these games eclipse Starfield so fucking much. And there is even more games that weren't even put into the Game of Year nominations that I would say that still would deserve a spot in the Game of Year over Starfield. I've made a little bit of a list for myself just so I can read it off, but you know, I think the only one that is like a bit iffy out of this whole list would have to be Metroid Prime Remastered. Resident Evil 4 I could see because it's a complete remake. Metroid Prime is more of a remaster. That's just more of like a honorable mention, I guess. So I just wanted to add that in there because, you know, it is fucking Metroid Prime Remastered. Metroid Prime is, you know, considered one of the greatest games ever. A lot of people fucking would put it in like their top 10, top 5 games of all time. But besides that little honorable mention that I wanted to add in there, one game is Street Fighter 6. I mean, Street Fighter is obviously a legendary, you know, franchise. It's been around for fucking so long, and Street Fighter 6 has, you know, improved Street Fighter in many ways, and it's good to see that, you know, fighting games are back on top. Mortal Kombat 1, haven't really heard too many good things about that. You know, there's a lot of the fan base doesn't like it as much as, you know, the last couple of installments with Mortal Kombat 10 and 11. You know, people aren't really liking 1 all that much, so, you know, Street Fighter 6 would have to take out like the best fighting game of the year, and Street Fighter 6 is exceptional. You know, the reviews for it have been amazing all since the game has fucking come out. One game that I am a bit like I enjoyed it a little bit, but I still think it's a slightly overrated, but even then I would put it over Starfield, and that'd be Diablo 4. Like, I honestly think that Diablo 4 is overrated. I definitely think that people give it too much hype. Like, a lot of, when it came out, everyone was like, oh, it's a 9 out of 10. It's so good. I would give the game like maybe a 7, 8. Like, the story and the campaign is kind of fun. But then after that, the end game is extremely lackluster, especially if you compare it to a different ARPG like Path of Exile. You know, the end game for that is just exceptional. And, you know, how an end game should be, where Diablo 4, it's just like, you know, you're running these dungeons and they get extremely fucking repetitive. And even so far, like the not expansions, but, you know, the seasons, that's it, the seasons that they've released for it, yeah. But I think a lot of people like season 2. Season 1 people fucking hated. Season 2 they've been a bit meh over about it. Turbo Overkill is a fucking another game. Go watch gameplay of that, of Turbo Overkill, please. It is like an it's like they took old-fashioned Doom or like Duke Nukem and added like a modern-day fucking spin to it. It is so fucking cool. It's just like guns blazing. It is fucking fast-paced and fucking amazing. Hi-Fi Rush, another game. That game came out. Everyone fucking loves that game. It has gotten a couple nominations. Not for Game of the Year, but a couple other nominations on the Game Awards, which is good to see. Armored Core 6. Exceptional action game. Absolutely fucking amazing. You know, everything they want in like a fucking mech game. Some people would say it's like the best mech game ever. And, you know, it's made by From Software, the exact same guys who's made Dark Souls and Elden Ring. So you know it's going to be a fucking good game. Like, when From Software make a fucking game, you know it's going to be good. You know, I feel like Armored Core 6, I'm pretty sure it's got a couple nominations in a couple categories, but it kind of did fly a little bit under the radar this year, I'd have to say that. Final Fantasy 16, so many fucking people loved Final Fantasy 16. I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I wasn't able to play it, but I did watch some gameplay of it, and so many fucking people love that game, and it's good to see. Remnant 2, I fucking loved Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is an amazing game, and it's just an improvement on the first game all around. I definitely think that it should have gotten rated a little bit higher in terms of critics-wise. You know, some of them gave them, like, I think on Metacritic it's like an 85, which is even below Starfield, which has surprised me. I definitely think that it should definitely be higher than that. An indie game as well that fucking deserved it is Dave the Diver. Like, that game is so fucking fun, and that game would 100%. Which I was watching Asmongold video about, like, when he was doing like his picks for all these categories for the Game Awards, and you know, he definitely talked that, saying that, like, you know, these AA games and under, you know, these indie games definitely either deserve their own Game of the Year category, or they deserve to be actually nominated in this Game of the Year, which I think they do. I think that indie games, you know, it shouldn't just be, Game of the Year shouldn't just be AAA games, because Dave the Diver is a fucking amazing game. Yeah, it's a 2D pixelated game made by indie developers, but it fucking deserves it. Like, you can't tell me that fucking, like, back when Undertale came out, you know, that game would 100% deserve Game of the Year, because it was fucking amazing. Like, even though it's a pixelated game and it was made by one fucking dude, it 100% would deserve it. 100%. Because it's a fucking amazing game. It shouldn't matter whether it's a AAA company or not. Which I think is the reason why a lot of these people think that Starfield actually deserve a Game of the Year. I think that a lot of the people who say that are just smoking copium. Honestly, you know, the people who really, really fucking enjoy it, that's fine. It's fine to enjoy Starfield. But don't try to convince us that it's good. Don't try to convince us that it's a Game of the Year material. It's alright. Yeah, I haven't played it myself. I've watched a lot of fucking gameplay. I watched Asmongold play it. And I even listened to his opinions on it as well. Because I'm not going to bother playing that game. I wasn't going to bother. Yeah, I've got Xbox Game Pass. Of course I could play it. I'm not going to bother wasting my time with that. I've watched enough fucking gameplay. I've watched hours and hours and hours of gameplay so that I could comfortably give my opinion that it does not deserve Game of the Year. And it fucking does not. It does not deserve Game of the Year. The people who are saying it deserves Game of the Year are just coping. They're coping so fucking hard, saying that, like, oh, it's such a good game. It's Game of the Year material. It's fucking way better than some of these games that have been nominated. No, it's not. All the games that I have said, even the ones that, like, that are nominated, and even the ones that I said deserve it so much more than fucking Starfield do. Just because, you know, if you're eating shit, it's fine, but don't try to convince the rest of us that it's fucking chocolate, because it's not. Just sit in your corner and eat your shit. If you like eating shit, that's fine, but don't try to get the rest of us to do it, because we don't want to. That's it. It's as simple as that. You know, a lot of these, I think that Starfield is, you know, got a lot of people playing it, a lot of people liking it, because it's made by Bethesda. That's the only reason why. And I was hyped for Starfield. Trust me, I wanted to get it when it came out. But once I started to actually see gameplay of it and see people playing it, I was just like, I'm not going to waste my money or my time playing a game like this. I'm going to play games that actually deserve my time, like the ones that are actually nominated for Game of the Year, because they fucking deserve it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about, you know, Game of the Years. You know, what's personally your Game of the Year? If it's Starfield, that's fair enough, but don't try to convince the rest of us that it is. That's the only thing. That's the only thing they're coming at, is that, like, if you think it is, that's fine. But don't try to, like, come out and say, oh, but it should be, like, for everyone else, and it should win the award or at least be nominated. No, it's not. It's really not. So yeah, that's it from me. Let me know what you guys think. Peace out.